As we welcome you to the Mustang Corral here at Edgewood High School in Ellisville, Indiana. It is conference championship night as the Greencastle Tiger Cubs are in town to take on the Edgewood Mustangs in the Western Indiana Conference Championship game. As we glad you could join us for Edgewood Mustang basketball here on Smithville Sports alongside Jeremy Nutter. I am Nick Jenkinson, and Jeremy, while these varsity teams will be playing for the conference championship later on tonight, for JV, it is just another game.
Yeah, and that's something in JV that you always want to do. It's something that you can, the young guys can show off to the coach, the varsity coach, what they got. I know whenever I was playing JV games, you always want to do your best and really impress and try to stand out and try to get bumped up to, sitting on the varsity bench and then hopefully the next year playing, because that's kind of what you're shooting for. You're not shooting for necessarily, playing varsity right away. If you're on a JV team, you're just trying to prove yourself and make known your talents and hopefully get pushed up one day.
These two teams were to meet January 12th, but weather has affected it. In fact, this is Edgewood's first game since we did the Owen Valley game 2 weeks ago. Their game last Saturday with Bedford North Lawrence got postponed. That will be made up February the 2nd. So Edgewood's basically sat around for 2 weeks since the Owen Valley game. So my curiosity is to see the Rust, how they respond with the fact that they've had weather delays. Now, the JV did play a game just 2 nights ago at Terre Haute South and lost 58-54. So the JV has had a little bit of time to get ready, but varsity hasn't played for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's just been with that, they've been sitting around. We've been sitting around, getting a little bigger, getting a little fatter, not, maybe playing a different team that you would normally see. So they'll have to adjust to a completely different team. It's not like practice. They haven't seen this before. So they'll probably be definitely, see what they've learned.
As we look at the great Greencastle Tiger Cubs, their starting lineup, they will start with Ethan Mayer, 6'1", sophomore, number 42. And then Evan Alexander is number 24, 5'11", freshman. Connor Taylor, 22, 5'10", junior, as you see Greencastle getting introduced. Evan Cummings, number 20, 6'1", sophomore. And then Corey Taylor is the other guard. He's a 5'8", junior, wearing number 12. Craig Whittaker is their JV coach. And now we're going to get ready to look at the Edgewood Mustangs. Jeff Harrington, the coach. He's got a couple guys out tonight. Sean Sims and Jace Utley not available, as you see them in the sweatpants, the sweatsuits, as Logan Slayball is a 6'3", junior. Number 24, you'll see him on the varsity. Zeke Powell is a 6-foot sophomore as they're getting introduced.
Sophomore, number 20, Landon Ringler.
Landon Ringler is a 6'1", sophomore forward for the Mustangs.
14,
Zay Doring is 6-foot junior, wearing number 14. And then number 4 is Caden Huttenlocker. He's a 6-foot freshman for Jeff Harrington. As you see, J.B. Neal in the background, along with freshman coach Chuck Sauter and Brad Moorhead and Brandon Ellis, the staff for Edgewood. as Greencastle's in the gray with the purple numbers and letters, Edgewood in the white with the red, kind of red trim, black numbers and letters. We are set to go. Again, this is just JV, just an extra game tonight. Varsity plays for the conference championship. Edgewood going for 4 in a row WIC titles. We are underway here in this JV contest.
Like you said, the varsity are playing for the title tonight, but definitely the JV game, you know, the varsity guys watch. I remember watching, you know, JV games whenever I was on the varsity team. It definitely sets a tone. You know, if you pound their JV team, it just kind of sets a tone that you kind of get scared, you know, you expect their varsity team to be a lot better. And I played against teams where that's the case and where it's the complete opposite. So we'll kind of see how that plays out tonight.
As Edgewood, Greencastle misses the first shot. Huntenlocker underneath has to kick it back out. That is Ringler with the first 3 of the game for Edgewood. That's the way you want to set the tone.
Yeah, and he came out, you know, firing. It was a good attempt down low to pump fake and going up for a layup, but ultimately getting the ball and firing out to somebody after everybody's ball watching, and, you know, you get an open look and you're expected to make those.
As Slayball lost it out of bounds, it will stay with, or Greencastle lost it out of bounds, it will stay with Edgewood. Of course, as we've seen in the varsity games throughout the time that we've covered Edgewood, the varsity, they love to shoot it from 3. They are about 40% from downtown, as Slayball misses it. Huntenlocker with the rebound, and then it is a jump ball call, and possession arrow stays with the Mustangs.
Yeah, and that was some good positioning and a tough rebound taken down by him after another shot from the perimeter, which, of course, they'll probably kind of look for here, it seems, as they do have a height advantage overall against Greencastle.
As Dorian drives to the basket, can't get it to go, and the rebound at the Tiger Cubs, and then they try to push it up the floor, but deflected and taken away by Slayball. There is Dorian, and he gets the bucket, and it's a 5-0 lead for Edgewood. So Zay Dorian on the board. Greencastle looking to get their first points of the night. There is a 3 on the way. It is too strong for Evan Alexander, and Slayball with the rebound.
And you see at this point, you don't exactly want to, you know, jack up threes. I know Edgewood, you know, just making one there, but Greencastle's just got to start something, because so far, you know, you only shoot threes or go on the perimeter or try a shot that may not work out. Again, another 3. And if you don't get those, Edgewood's going to pound on the points, and you're just going to get demoralized by the scoreboard, and that doesn't help out in the game.
Here is Ringler for 3. It is short. Huntenlocker had hit the last 3 attempts. That was just a beautiful play where they just left it for Huntenlocker, and he scored. Greencastle still looking to get on the board, though. Good ball movement by the Tiger Cubs. Inside, and one goes for Ethan Mayer, and he will go to the line.
Yeah, and that was good big man play inside by Ethan Mayer, really making sure that even a little hand can't stop him, making sure he stays strong and gets his shot up still.
30 Trent Ross comes into the game. He is a 6-foot junior for the Tiger Cubs. Mayer, a 6'1" sophomore, and he misses it, and it's rebounded by Ringler, and here comes Edgewood. Dorian just dumps it, leaves it for Ringler, straight top the key. No, Huntenlocker fadeaway is no good. And rebound to Ross.
It seems as though Ringler hasn't had to move too much the whole game. He's pretty much shot from there the whole game and had success there.
As that's a 3 for Connor Taylor, the first 3 of the game for the Tiger Cubs, and this is a 3-point Edgewood lead. Looks like Greencastle finally getting a little bit more comfortable in their offense. Powell's going to launch a 3 and hit it. That's the 3rd 3 of the night for Edgewood already.
Like I'm saying, I mean, you see these teams, honestly, they don't really look to go inside that much. Again, you would think that with Greencastle, why they wouldn't do that unless they had an option like that.
That's a miss for Connor Taylor. Here comes the Mustangs. They're not shy about getting it up and down the floor. They're going to fire again. sleigh ball, and it's going to be Doring called over the back with the foul.
Edgewood seems to be just doing a three-point contest right now, just seeing who's going to make the most of the night. And, hey, if they win like that, be my guest. You know, that's fine. But
we've seen over the years Edgewood's three-point barrage of kids that can light it up. I mean, they've had a slew of guys over the years that are just notable three-point shooters. Most likely a kid named Tommy Weekly, who played here, graduated in 2008, probably on one of the best Edgewood teams ever. He went on to DePaul University. He's also been back at Edgewood before as an assistant coach. He's working, teaching, running some camps and stuff in the area. So, Edgewood's had their barrage of kids that can hit outside, and that's always something that they're taught when they get here. There's a miss by Edgewood. Ringler with the rebound, and here comes the Mustangs. Yeah, they just leave it right off. Powell's going to fire it again, too strong. And rebound to Greencastle, and they're going to come back. Powell one-on-one, and that is good for Evan Alexander.
And immediately firing back here, Edgewood trying to drive down, doing the same play over and over again. Whichever side it may be, they drive in, draw two men, go out.
And they kick it back out as Jeff Harrington wants a timeout as Logan Slayball hits that three. And Edgewood up by 7. And he's going to call a 30-second timeout. You see the Greencastle huddle as Bryce Rector, the varsity coach, in the background as you see the Mustangs with Jeff Harrington. Again, two guys, Sean Sims and Jace Utley, out tonight. You see them in the warm-up or the sweatsuits tonight with injuries, not available for Jeff Harrington, but it seems like there's no drop-off right now.
Yeah, it seems like, they have one play. Like, if you see them just drive in, draw two men, and they kick it out and shoot a three. Even if they miss or make, then they do it again. They do it again, recycle a lot. And if it works for them, and it has been, like I said, they can keep doing that all game and be successful. But Greencastle's got to do better on defense where they don't get caught being pulled down and not having anybody up there for the person who just simply gets the ball with a wide open three absolutely every time.
As you see the zone applied by Edgewood, not attacking right now. They're just keeping it out on the perimeter. Good feed inside. Meyer, and he gets it to go as he's going to go to the line. That's his 4th point of the night.
Yeah, and that's maybe where they may find some success is inside because, again, I think they're expecting Greencastle to not shoot necessarily that many shots inside. So if they're able to start, utilizing Meyer and really getting them down low in that zone, I think he'll have success in that zone.
Zeke Powell misses the three. Now into the game for Edgewood is number 12, Caden Howard. He's a 6'1" freshman. His brother Chayton was a senior last year for the Mustangs, and he's playing now at IU Southeast in a IA school. There is Slayball, and he gets fouled.
It's one of the first drives of the night from Edgewood there, finally venturing inside the key.
As going to send Logan Slayball to the line. Foul on Meyer, his first and the team's first. This will send Slayball to the line, and he misses the shot. Now it's going to be 22, Henry Doring checking in. 6'1" freshman as Huntenlocker goes out. So one more for Slayball. Sees some time at the varsity level as he misses both. He's probably one of the guys that gets kind of the mop-up minutes. Again, between JV and varsity, you can play up to 5 quarters a night if you play both. So it's always hard for these JV coaches to keep the number of quarters and how many they're allowed to utilize.
I've been in a situation like that many times where, the coach may want you.
As that's the offensive foul on Meyer, and it will be Edgewood's ball. That's his second.
And like I was saying, the coach may want you, but at the same time, you know, you play JV, so you may play 3 quarters, you know, and then maybe use 2 quarters, or maybe not used at all in a varsity game. It just depends on kind of how the situation happens. So, you know, with a lot of these guys, they're maybe playing dual minutes, so it's just kind of however the coaches do it, and they just follow suit. I don't think they would have too much say at the JV level on how much they play varsity.
No, it's kind of how they always have a discussion before, and it says, okay, this is what you get, this is how many guys you get, and this is how many you get them for. I know one of the guys that's on the bench right now, he's not played yet, Derek Farkas, who we'll see in the varsity game. I know he's probably going to be used for maybe a quarter or 2 if needed.
Yeah, and that's also too. I've been in those same situations as well, where they'll just have a varsity guy there just in case, you know, they just want to win a JV game or something, or to bring them back from injury or something to give them a chance to kind of play without too many stakes.
Henry Dorian hit the basket for Edgewood. Greencastle misses. Slayball's going to fire it, and that's going to be short. And so far, Edgewood in control here in the first quarter, 16-9 on Smithville Sports.
ATI is a group of highly skilled physical therapists. We have 750 locations, and we have 5 locations here in Bloomington. If you have a muscle deficit or a joint deficit, we're going to treat that, and then we're going to teach you what to do to continue forward without our help. So we want to make you as independent as possible. You can contact ATI by calling our phone number here at the clinic, or you can log on to www.atipt.com and get set up from there.
As we welcome you back to the Mustang Corral, you look at the Edgewood huddle, and there's Jeff Harrington, the JV coach. Edgewood in control, 16-9 after 1 quarter of play. Glad you could join us for Edgewood Mustang basketball here on Smithville Sports alongside Jeremy Nutter. I am Nick Jenkinson. And so far, Jeremy, as we talked about, it's really Edgewood is keeping it outside. So far, they've hit 4 threes.
Yeah, and that's what we've seen is the same play over and over and over, where they drive inside, draw a guy, and pass it out. And differently down at Greencastle's end, they're able to penetrate inside and get some points off of Zach Meyer in there, and be able to use him in there will definitely, you know, change what their game plan is, because so far they've been jacking up threes from outside, and that just won't cut it, honestly, if they want to stay in the game with Edgewood.
So Greencastle will get the ball to start the second quarter. 7-minute quarters here in JV basketball. And this is Evan Cummings, number 20, with it for the Tiger Cubs. 24 is Evan Alexander. He has the ball right now. Ethan Mayer, number 42. And then, again, Slayball goes to the ground, and Mayer scores his 6th point of the night. So here is Edgewood. This is Slayball, left it short. Mayer with the rebound. Now it's going to be a long 3, and it's off the mark, and the offensive board to Greencastle. Inside, and then Slayball active on defense, takes that away.
Yeah, and again, it's just important for Ethan Meyer to stay down there. It's important for him to be a presence down there, because he's honestly probably bigger than most of the kids on the court. Teams like looking at him from up here, and so he can use that physical presence inside, and instead of shooting a 3 like that last possession and ending it in a turnover, he'll possibly be able to go to the line or get some points.
Now Derek Farkas, who's got the ball right now and shoots it in and out, is into the game. Most likely his only quarter of action in JV.
And you see there again, Ethan Meyer getting that rebound, getting inside. If he keeps doing that tonight, Greencastle can have a good JV game.
As they're going to call Caden Howard with the foul. That's his first and the team's 4th. Always see it where one player in JV kind of stands out, always has kind of that big game. So far, Ethan Meyer's the kid that will probably have it, as you see the shot off the mark, rebound and fouled by Greencastle.
I remember another name I remember from our Bloomfield game, Balin Graff. For some reason that name stuck with me, so Ethan Meyer's name may stick with me as well.
Yeah, he had a big game for Bloomfield back here in December as Connor Taylor hits that free throw. I think it was over 20 points that he scored.
Absolute beast.
Yeah, as 34 is Evan Waters. He's coming out. Zeke Powell, number 2, back in for the Tiger Cubs. Taylor has 4, 5'10" junior for the Tiger Cubs. Not a far trip for Greencastle, about a 45-minute trip for Greencastle down here to Edgewood. As nice turnaround shot is off the mark for the Mustangs, and the Tiger Cubs with the rebound.
And that was a good find. He just kind of jacked it at him too quick and wasn't able to get a good read on it.
Now there's the numbers, and Zay Doring just takes it himself. He gets his 4th bucket of the night, and it's a 6-point Edgewood lead.
It's really fun to see, JV teams play each other because in more than often than not, it's more competitive sometimes in the varsity game because these kids, may not be here for the fun of it, may not be here, for because they have to be, they just have a passion for it and want to get up to that varsity level. So seeing these guys playing the determination is really exciting.
There's a shot missed by the Tiger Cubs. Zay Doring with it taken away, and then that is Alexander, and he gets fouled by Howard.
We'll see if they stay down low here with Ethan Meyer, if they go up top and play around the top of the arc.
Several substitutions for the Mustangs as Greencastle will inbound it.
And if you look at them right now, they have no one down there in the key, which is not the best idea because
and Meyer just gets it taken away by Doring. Here comes Edgewood. And now it's taken away by Greencastle. Corey Taylor.
And again, it's completely open. No one inside on the arc, but someone tries to come in, and it's just you need that presence. They can run a 4-out, 1-in kind of deal where center plays inside, but having that open inside mark is very dangerous.
As you see, Zeke Powell with a nice bounce pass to Logan Slayball, and he finishes it. And Slayball will go to the line.
Well, I should correct unless you're the Warriors, then you can play that 5 on the outside and shoot threes all day.
Well, yeah, when you have a guy like Steph Curry on your team that can shoot as soon as he gets across the timeline. Same with Klay Thompson.
Yeah, Kevin Durant.
Edgewood's opened this up to a 9-point lead.
And this is a point where, you want to score a little bit. You don't want to necessarily bring it all back together and score 3 because stuff like that won't help because the lead will just get that much bigger if Edgewood scores on this possession.
Meyer missed it, and Edgewood setting it up. Doring's going to fire the 3. They just keep shooting, and that missed everything with Greencastle rebounding.
And again, you saw down there, Edgewood has an open set. No one's down inside.
Alexander misses. Rebound, no good, and now Farkas with the board, and he just kind of gets past everybody, dumps it off. Huntenlocker hits the triple, and Jeff Harrington calls another timeout.
It's been really interesting to see these two teams play on offense and not being able to kind of pinpoint what play they seem to be doing. They just seem to be kind of just being around the arc and not necessarily using any inside presence, which I find is very weird that that's not part of at least someone's game plan. I saw Greencastle run a little bit of 4-out, 1-in earlier in the game and haven't really seen Edgewood do anything like that. It's just kind of shoot and crash.
And it's interesting as you look at the Greencastle huddle, Jeff Harrington's called both his timeouts on made 3-pointers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of an interesting move to call a timeout and to call those timeouts in that juncture of the game. He must see something he wants to instruct his team after makes. Maybe it's just how to get back. maybe it's how to guard the inbounds play or something that he wants to. I mean, Jeff Harrington, I've known Jeff for a while. He's a very detailed-oriented person. He's dedicated a lot of time to coaching. He's had a son that played for Edgewood a couple years ago, or the last 2 years, and is not playing this season. He's got a daughter will be playing next year here at the high school. She's in the junior as an 8th grader right now over at the junior high. Tall, over 6 foot tall, just like her dad. So, I mean, he's given a lot of time to the game. He's a former Edgewood player himself, so he's been around this for a long time.
Yeah, we just saw there, a throwaway pass across the court, and that's something if this coach could yell his lungs out right now, he probably would, because that's something you never should do. It's really risky. If it works, they'll smile and wave. If it doesn't, which more than often the time it doesn't, you get a pretty big yelling after.
Tiger Cubs working it.
And again, no one on the inside.
No, well, there's a nice cut by Alexander, and he gets it right out to Meyer, and then it's partially blocked. He wants a foul, not going to happen. Edgewood's got 3-on-1. It's just going to be Farkas, and then Powell is there to clean up the miss and put back.
And that seems to be the mentality with Edgewood is crash the board, which is good to have. It is kind of weird without having necessarily a main guy on the inside. They all seem to look like they can play the same position out there. They all seem to be looking like the same player. But, yeah, it just is an interesting kind of formula that's worked for them so far, and they've been successful. But I could just think on a bad day how that could go very, very wrong if you can't hit anything.
As Myers scores his 8th point of the night, and the one thing about Edgewood is they start five guards in varsity, and they basically do the same, not necessarily do the same thing, but it seems like they can all play the same positions. And that's something, because Edgewood's had that, that big man the last couple of years. Kids like Braden Patton, who's a big post football player. He's at Northern Illinois. Chayton Howard, who can be a stretch kid who can go outside and step out and hit the shot, as Huntenlocker misses everything. Austin Renard was another kid a couple years ago who could shoot a lot of threes from the outside. So they've had those size for Edgewood, and this year they just kind of play that positionless basketball as Corey Taylor drains the 3, and this lead is within 9.
Yeah, and that reminds me kind of a soccer analogy where there's an idea that there's a way of playing called total football, that every player can play every position, and that seems to be the way Edgewood are. Everybody can play every position. You play where you are, and you do your best you can.
And that's what it seems like the game has now evolved so much that they're talking about positionless basketball now, that basically when you recruit, when you look at a kid, you want him to play basically every position on the floor if possible.
Yeah, my friends and I were actually talking about that, how Anthony Davis, this year, probably the best big man in the league, or one of them. His team stinks, and not going to the playoffs or anything, doesn't look anywhere up. So that's definitely where back in the day you see Shaq or someone like that, Dwight Howard, and it's nothing like that where a big man can definitely change the game. It's more of a perimeter game.
And there is Greencastle going the other way, reverse layup, no good. Edgewood's got about 6 seconds up ahead. Slay ball baseline jumper is good, and that is going to do it for the first half of this JV game. As we look at the highlights, it's Edgewood, and it's going outside with Landon Ringler starting a 3-point barrage. Caden Hunterlocker hits one as well. Inside, Meyer with 8 points for the Tiger Cubs. Zeke Powell drains the 3 from the wing. This was just a bullet pass inside and gets the and 1. And you just see Edgewood, nice bounce pass from Powell to Slayball for the and 1. You don't always see that in JV. And then Powell just there to clean up the miss for the Mustangs. Meyer again gets his points inside. But you just see the good ball movement and a nice finish inside. As we're at halftime, Edgewood 30, Greencastle 17 here on Smithfield Sports.
My name is Alicia Tiemann, and I'm a physical therapist. I have my doctorate in physical therapy, and I am the clinic lead here in the Ellettsville Clinic. ATI is a pretty big company. We have 750 locations, and we have 5 locations here in Bloomington. This is a brand new clinic here in Ellettsville. It is currently actually the fastest growing clinic in Indiana. ATI is a group of highly skilled physical therapists, and our goal and mission for patients as you're coming in is to exceed customer expectations by providing the highest quality of care in a friendly and encouraging environment. We treat a lot of conditions actually. We treat pre-operatively and post-operatively for joint replacement. We also treat any orthopedic issues that anybody might have, sports injuries as well. We treat a big neurological population as well with Parkinson's and stroke. We also treat anything from just an ankle sprain that you got last night that you can kind of walk in and get a treatment for, or we also treat vertigo. I knew I wanted to be in the medical field, I just didn't know which field to be in. And I knew I wanted to spend a lot of time with patients. And so there's very few, I think, careers that you can go into where you can get a very good scope of how a patient is doing from their first visit to their last visit, and that is physical therapy. You get to meet the patient, you get to know them very well, and you get to actually examine them throughout the entire process of them getting better. Your treatment will depend on our initial assessment. So if on the first visit we decide that you do not need skilled physical therapy, you'll probably just have a one-time visit. We'll give you the education that you need and a home program to continue forward. At that point, I'll send you home with a home program, and you can give it time and decide whether or not you need to come back. If we decide that you require more, we determine that at the initial evaluation. We have all sorts of equipment. We have cardiovascular equipment and per body part. So we like to really get patients functionally moving. So we have things like a treadmill, we have all the cardiovascular equipment, we have a rower, we also have strength and conditioning. So we have weights, we have just the regular dumbbells and anything like that. So we use TheraBand sometimes if we want to increase the resistance of an exercise, and the TheraBand that we use is just a basically long non-latex TheraBand to add resistance to the system. And it's also something that the patient can take home. So we dispense those in the clinic when a patient has advanced. So we use banding. We also just use ankle weights or dumbbells just to attribute kind of an increase in resistance for the workout. The purpose of a foam roller is to really kind of get the tissue moving. So I like to have a patient prior to stretching and even at the end of stretching to be on a foam roller. A lot of patients can get on a foam roller and mobilize the back. So they'll roll on the foam roller back and forth, and that can help to kind of release the tissue a little bit. It's also something that makes the patient less dependent on me, and they're inexpensive, and then it can have me kind of decrease the amount of manual therapy that a patient will require just to keep them loose. Different techniques that we can use really just depend on what we decide at the initial evaluation. So after we do the workup and decide really what the patient needs, we'll go ahead and derive a plan of care from there. So after we kind of look and see the joint mobility and see how loose or firm the tissue is, we can derive a treatment from there. So we have lots of techniques, and we have also just lots of tools that we can use. A big tool that we can use is we like to use dry needling, we can use cupping, we use joint mobilization so we can actually treat the joint. We also do deep tissue massage and myofascial release, but those are in conjunction with exercise and whatever the deficit is. Dry needling is actually not a new thing. It's been around for a while, but now it's just getting more researched. Clinically, we find it works really well in a large population of patients, and we can find definitely a great benefit for patients. With dry needling, we can treat headaches, we can treat tone in the system. So when somebody has a very tonic muscle or very tight muscle, research says that it's not always just a muscle length issue. It can be actually centrally derived, so it can be actually coming from the spine. So if I can take a trigger point and take a needle to that and get a neurological response or a release of that tissue, I can actually help to reduce the tone in the system, and then we can work around that tone. Dry needling is typically painless. There is a pinch, but most times patients find the benefit more after the treatment than the pain itself. Cupping we use as kind of an additive to treatment. It's nothing that if we would do soft tissue massage on somebody, we might cup them as well. So cup helps to release the kind of myofascial restrictions in a system. So if there's a very tight or tonic muscle, we can go in and use a cup to release that muscle itself. So with that as well, it increases the circulation in the system and it just helps the patient feel better. The biggest benefit of coming to physical therapy is definitely a full scope treatment. So you're going to get, if you have deficits in the tissue or in the muscle, you're going to get exercise for that, or you'll get a stretch for that depending on what we assess. If there's a joint abnormality, we'll also do manual therapy on that. So we can treat the joint, we'll treat the muscle, and then we'll fix any strength or length issues in the system. Physical therapy is very important because from just a standpoint of education to the patient. So after we do the initial evaluation, we're going to decide what you need in the system. So if you need a muscle, if you have a muscle deficit or a joint deficit, we're going to treat that, and then we're going to teach you what to do to continue forward without our help. So we want to make you as independent as possible. So physical therapy should not be something where you stay here for 6 months and you're completely dependent on us. We want to teach you what to do at home to make you better. We get patients from all age ranges. We treat patients, I think, as young as 8 or 9 all the way up. And it just depends really on the orthopedic need. So if a patient comes in and requires skilled physical therapy, we'll treat them. Occasionally we'll get walk-in patients, yes. The walk-in patients have to be definitely secured by insurance. We do here in Indiana have direct access. So for a certain period of time, you can come in without a physician script and we can treat you per your insurance. So you just have to check with your insurance on that. Most of the time we do get physician scripts. Now another thing that we do is offer injury screens, which is a 15-minute injury screen where you can come in and I can evaluate you in that 15-minute time period. So in that time period, I can decide if you're going to be appropriate for physical therapy or if you're going to need a physician. So if you're not sure of a physician here in town, I can even direct you there. The injury screen is 15 minutes. It's complimentary for any patient that wants to come in to decide if they are appropriate for physical therapy or if they need to go to the physician to decide. If we decide that you are appropriate for physical therapy, then you just have to check with your insurance, but we can see you for up to 24 business days with direct access. Our staff is highly skilled. We are very manual therapy based, so we're not just going to give you exercises, we're going to treat whatever deficit that you need. We all have a different skill set, definitely. We have different certifications that we've gotten along the way. Most of us do dry needle. All of us are skilled in manual therapy, so massage, myofascial release, and we all treat the joint. You can contact ATI by calling our phone number here at the clinic, or you can log on to www.atipt.com and get set up from there.
As we welcome you back to the Mustang Corral here at Edgewood High School, Ellisville, Indiana. Edgewood on top 30-17 at halftime against Greencastle. Glad you could join us for Edgewood Mustang basketball and Smithville Sports alongside Jeremy Nutter. I am Nick Jenkinson. Jeremy, 6 players for Edgewood scored, and they hit 5 threes in that first half.
I know, it's just seems crazy. The way they're playing is kind of weird for me to see both teams exactly. They're kind of not utilizing a big man at all, and they all have pretty tall kids on both sides. So it's just kind of a weird game so far, if I'm being honest. But they're definitely making a lot of shots. Edgewood is, and Greencastle is just trying to play pickup so far.
As we are underway here in the third quarter, Logan Slayball gets it to Zeke Powell, Caden Hundenlocker, and he hits the basket He and Slayball had 8 at halftime, and now Huntenlocker is in double figures with 10.
But I did like seeing Connor Taylor there for a second doing a hard box out after the shot. I was very pleased to see that because I had a coach screaming at me one time in a JV game or in a middle school game to box out. He yelled his head off, and so I'm glad to be seeing that down there, some determination.
Evan Alexander hits that 3. Yeah, that's one thing coaches probably yell a lot as box out and rebound.
Yeah, yep. I wasn't too encouraged after he yelled at me, but that's some good determination shown by Greencastle.
As now Myers in double figures for Greencastle with his 10-point, but it's a 10-point Edgewood lead.
And again, it's just empty on the inside for Edgewood. No one down low, although there's a little down low, but they end up clearing out.
Yeah, Ringler came across the lane as Dorian going to drive, put up a shot. It's no good. Rebound to the Tiger Cubs as this is Evan Cummings, number 20, with the ball. And then Myers going to cross court. Always a dangerous pass, and then Connor Taylor stepped on a line, so it's a turnover to Edgewood. Just a mental mistake.
And that's been happened a few times to Greencastle with cross-court passes being stolen and poor shot selection and other things.
Zay Doring, the nice drive to the basket. He had 4 in the first half, 6 now in the game.
And you see more students starting to trickle in, supporting the Edgewood JV.
Yeah, Edgewood hasn't played. The Varsity has not played for 2 weeks because their regular season meeting with Greencastle and Bedford North Lawrence were postponed due to the weather the last 2 Saturdays here in Indiana. The regular season game with Greencastle will not be made up, and the Bedford North Lawrence game will be scheduled next Saturday afternoon.
And that's encouraging for anybody playing because, you just want to play. You just want to play, and I know whenever I've had some games canceled and they end up not being rescheduled, I get pretty upset because, you just want to play. You want to show that you are better than the team you're going to play and be able to brag against them.
Yeah, you may be happy that day if you didn't feel like playing, but then you realize you got to still play them later on as Zay Doring drills a 3. And Edgewood just continues the barrage of 3s. They hit 5 in the first half, now 6 for the game. As Greencastle with the ball. Alexander gonna fire it off the mark. Tip out to Doring. Bounce pass to Powell. Kicks it back out.
They won a 3.
Huntenlocker wide open, it's no good. Ringler the board, now into the hands of the Tiger Cubs.
And Coach Jeff Harrington here, the JV team, probably just said, go ahead, go out there. Don't even need to go inside the paint. Just kind of shoot some 3s, and we've been doing good so far, so we'll go for it.
As sloppy ball, now Greencastle gets the timeout. It's going to be a 30-second timeout. Heads up play by the Tiger Cubs to get that 30-second timeout.
And I do have to say that was one of the first times I ever saw a JV player calling a timeout on the floor. I've never seen that. I've seen, you see that in NBA, college, or other stuff. Usually at the JV level, the players aren't calling the timeout. So that's some pretty, I don't know if he was told to do that or something like that. But
he was on the floor right in front of the bench, and I think it was to really just avoid, the travel call because he had nothing. He had nothing to see. As you see, Greencastle with 4 timeouts left. Edgewood with 3 timeouts left. Again, Varsity will follow 20 minutes after this one. Teams are fighting for the Western Indiana Conference title. Greencastle going for its first conference title in the Western Indiana Conference. These 2 teams used to be a part of the West Central Conference for years, and then Edgewood left to join the WIC, and then Greencastle came in just a few years ago. So these teams are no stranger to each other. They've been battling it for years. and no better for these two teams this time to play for that conference championship.
Yeah, you know, whenever you play, I remember playing city and other stuff, you know, like that in sectionals and in regional games, and you want that. You know, that ups the stakes for the game. Is that you win something in the end? It's a completed task. You know, you get a trophy or whatever they give you, and then you can say you're the best in a certain arena of teams.
Yeah, that as Alexander hits that three, his second three of the night. Lead is cut to 9, but I do see on the scores table the first place ribbons and that plaque is covered up down there. But it's on the scores table ready to go for whoever wins it. And hopefully for the Edgewood fans, it's going to stay here in Ellettsville for the 4th straight year. It's going to be hung up there with all the other conference plaques that there are. As Slaybaugh drills the 3 from the corner.
I have a feeling this is starting to break into a 3, Clinton, as Greencastle on the last possession shot a 3. So we'll see if they try to answer. That's a dangerous game, though, playing that way.
And now Greencastle just throws it away. Now Powell's just going to chase it down, but he's going to let it go, and it will be Edgewood ball. Smart move by Powell. He saw it going out of bounds and heads up by Edgewood by Jeff Harrington to make sure he did not touch it, to get the ball back for Edgewood.
As you see again, it's just a lot of people on the outside. They're doing kind of a weave pattern, trying to get people open since Greencastle's playing man. And so far it's been successful. Stuff like right there where it's just a second of getting sucked inside, and then you're able to make a move around your man and get a basket.
Caden Hunterlocker scores again. He's got 12. I'll tell you what, I like that little jumper that he has.
He's done that a few times.
15 feet, yeah. He's pretty deadly with it. Tried to get the steal there, but did not. And then they just leave Meyer all alone underneath the basket, and then it's a jump ball. And that's, as a coach, that drives you nuts when you have that wide open look and you can't convert.
And also, like I was saying earlier, and I feel as though I may be right in this, is that if Greencastle attacks down low, they'll be able to get it. Because, you know, Ethan Meyer was wide open down there. And after you do that a few times, they'll start paying attention down low, and that opens up some other stuff. So definitely utilizing that down low would help out Greencastle in this situation. And maybe give them a chance instead of putting Ethan Meyer out on the arc.
42-28. Edgewood in control. As the band is getting ready to be, or in place, getting ready to rock this crowd. So it will be loud here in a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah. They bring the heat, that's for sure.
They won a state championship in the fall for the first time ever in competition. Nice play for Powell to Huntenlocker. And that brings a little noise to the Mustang corral.
See, that's the fun part I'm talking about, where there's a lot of passion, you know, in that play. You know, that's just inventive, you know, on you go. That's some backyard basketball stuff, you know. It's just fun. It's fun stuff.
Edgewood puts this out to a 16-point lead as we are about ready to hit the minute mark in the 3rd quarter. Shot no good for Greencastle. In transition and finishes Henry Doring. And he's excited as he's going to get to go to the line.
And he was jacked up after that. He was absolutely jacked up. But you see in that previous Greencastle possession, an absolutely needless 3 jacked up there, and not being able to convert that will really hurt Greencastle now as Edgewood goes to the line.
Henry Doring at the line for the Mustangs. He hits that foul shot. He's got 5 points, and it's a 19-point lead.
Just a while ago, it was about, you know, maybe 6-9 points, and now it's starting to jump farther and farther out.
As you said, it's a good, sets the tone for what could be the varsity game as well, as Edgewood's JV team playing well so far. There's another miss inside for Greencastle, and you can tell a little frustration now sets in for the Tiger Cubs.
And and like it was last possession for them whenever they scored, or rather whenever Ethan Meyer missed that layup, completely open down low. You know, you take somebody down there completely open. So, you know, I definitely look as a coach trying to look down there and looking more at those plays down low.
As Landon Ringler gets fouled, he'll get to go to the line. Ringler is 6'1", sophomore. I don't see his dad Lance tonight. He usually helps out with the team, but he must be off a game out reffing tonight. Lance is an official. Landon's mom, Missy, was a top-notch golfer here at Edgewood. Was a golfer at Iowa State University, also in the Monroe County Sports Hall of Fame, a golf coach at Iowa State and UNLV, among other places. But they're back home here in Ellettsville, where raising their boy, and just like mom and dad, he's put on that Mustang uniform.
Yeah, and like you said, he's a sophomore. That's a lot of young, tall guys on this Edgewood team. Again, absolutely needless three with there to end the quarter.
As Greencastle launches that three, no good. Edgewood in control by 20 on Smithville Sports.
Whether you need an awesome wrap for your truck, a new look for your sports car, or simply some great window tinting, Van Horn has you covered. Need accessories like step bars, bug shields, or toolboxes? Or how about a neon clock for the garage or den? Van Horn can take care of it. With years of experience, Van Horn gives you the professional look with the quality you deserve. Stop by our shop in Ellettsville, the large building behind McDonald's, or give us a call at 812-876-2230. You can also visit our website at vanhorn1.com. Van Horn Tent and Accessories, the place for your custom vehicle needs.
As we welcome you back to Edgewood High School, Mustangs in control, 48-28. As we welcome you back, I am Nick Jenkinson alongside Jeremy Nutter, and Jeremy, Edgewood's in control with 7 more minutes left to play in this JV game.
Yeah, it's kind of gotten out of hand with the three-pointers that have been thrown up, and not really that much inside play from either team. And that's kind of how it's been. In the end, it's whoever's more, hot that night. And right now, Edgewood's been, incredibly hot. They've made a bunch of shots, a bunch of jumpers, not really too many drive-ins at all. And Greencastle's been successful inside, but doesn't seem to run any plays that go inside. So we'll kind of see how that morphs into a fourth quarter.
As we are underway here in the fourth quarter. As you see, Slayball fires the three, and it nails it again, his third three of the night. Edgewood just continues to be hot, 8 threes so far in this game. There is a foul by the Mustangs, as that will be on Huntenlocker. And that's said his third.
And again, Ethan Meyer gets fouled on the arc, and he should probably be down low, getting those passes inside and being, using his body, getting that big frame in there.
51-28.
No one down low again for Greencastle.
Edgewood staying in that zone. Alexander now in the paint, and Meyer shows the outside range with that three.
Yeah, that's surprising. I think he's tried maybe 1 or 2 in the game so far, kind of not an inside shot, so finally making one, gaining some confidence there.
Slayball drives the lane and gets fouled. Of course, tomorrow a big day for both Edgewood and Greencastle. They will both be playing at Bankers Life Fieldhouse as part of what they call the Really Big Basketball Show. 5 games tomorrow. Edgewood Monrovia starts it off at 1 o'clock. Then it's Tri-West and Greencastle. Then Northwestern against Carroll of Flora. That's up by Delphi. And I'm interested in that game because a former classmate of mine at Ball State, Bodie Bender's in his first year as the coach at Carroll. So I wish him and his team luck. He's had a 5-5 season so far in his first year, so
that's always
I
a
hope
good
they
way to
do
start.
well. Northwestern's the #1 team in Class 3A, and they're undefeated, so he's going to have a tough task. Culver Academy will play Cathedral at 6. Which Cathedral has IU signee Armand Franklin. Culver made the state finals in 3A last year. Trey Galloway is an IU target. And then Franklin against Southport at 7:40. So if you're in that area, go up tomorrow. That's a great day of basketball and a great facility.
And yeah, it's such a cool opportunity for these kids. I remember I was part of I could have an opportunity to go Bankers Life and play for a practice team for our girls high school team, but I ended up not being able to. Bummed out all the guys and stuff, but for these kids being able to go up there and play, I mean, that is a once in a lifetime thing kind of deal, and so that's something honestly you get really excited with, playing in a big place that isn't that familiar, and you see on TV, and then you go and play there, and all of a sudden you become regular, and you get all the kids at school the next week, talking to you, asking how it was, all that stuff. So definitely a cool opportunity for these kids.
And that is tomorrow. So again, Edgewood plays. So the JV teams, the JV will play Monrovia later on as part of this, because this was Monrovia's home game and it got moved to Bankers Life. So the JV team will be off tomorrow, but I know they'll all be in attendance behind the bench supporting the varsity squad.
And I know that they'd probably want that home game to be every time they played at home.
Edgewood got to play up there a few years ago against Mooresville as well, and that was a exciting day, exciting moment for those kids. Came up short that day against Mooresville, but again, any time you get to play in a place like that, it's just special.
And a block by Greencastle there. That's some hard defense they've been playing. And now again, just start out with a drive from Ethan Meyer, and you just see the rest of the Greencastle team kind of watch him and not move. And so I think that's some stuff that can be worked on, some more inside play, as well as just some movement off the ball, because that's always big. That coaches push in every sport really that I've played is moving off the ball, and how important that is and how crucial that is. You may not want to, you may be tired, but you have to. And I do have to say, sometimes I didn't do that. Other times I did, and it worked out, and they were right, which is, is interesting that the coach is right sometimes.
Whether you agree or disagree at the time, normally the coach is right like 99% of the
Absolutely,
time.
yeah, it's always yes, sir.
You may disagree with him 80% of the, at the time, but
yes,
he's always the right, and they know normally what's best, even though at the time you probably don't think so. But
it's weird how it works like that. Yeah.
When you look back, you realize, oh man, he was right all along. So.
Yeah. I definitely many parts of my life where that is a true statement.
As Greencastle loses the ball, Edgewood now up by 22. As again, Varsity will come up here in about 20 minutes. What's your overall, as you see Powell driving the lane, your overall, as we've covered Edgewood throughout the season, your just impressions of the job that J.B. Neal's done with his varsity squad?
I mean, it's just been really cool to see them and how they play, because, I mean, especially the game against Indian Creek, that was one that stood out to me as a very hard-fought game, and they just are able to push. They're not a team that necessarily gets caught too much, playing to the team that they play against. They don't play down to a level or up to a level. They aren't. They seem to be quite consistent, and that's shown in their record, as well as just in their team overall. They all have, I mean, everybody has height across the board. Even in this JV team, there's maybe like one guy below 6 foot. So it's just, there's a lot of height, a lot of desire I see on them, and they all look in pretty good shape and pretty strong, which is another good thing to have. And overall, I've been really impressed, especially with, kind of the way they play seems to be like a perimeter team or a team that shoots a lot. Varsity, that's a little different because they have some bigger players that they can use inside. But for me, it's just been impressive with how well they've been able to shoot, which, is if I were to think of an Indiana team, Edgewood would be definitely a team that you can envision kind of fitting that bill. Is a team that shoots, is a team that plays hard basketball and competes every time they're out there. and is successful most of the time.
And it's defense first. I mean, this Edgewood program has really been an unbelievable. As Meyer misses the basket, in the last 26 years, they've won 22. They've had 22 winning seasons, 7 in a row. They've won 355 games. They've won 9 sectionals, 10 overall. I mean, they have 9 WIC titles, trying to go make it 10. 3 West Central titles in 94, 96, and 97 before they came into the conference, as Meyer misses that one. So, I mean, they have built this program from the ground up. I mean, it's just been unbelievable. 1 Indiana All-Star in the program, Garrett Butcher, in 2008, went on to play for Butler University, was on those 2 national runner-up teams. Although he had a lot of injuries throughout, there were key moments in his career where they needed those couple minutes from him. He just had chronic knee problems, but he was a kid that always contributed, and he always put that team first.
Yeah, and that's what I see with a lot of these players now. There are a few that stick out. Obviously, Trevor Taylor sticks out a lot on the varsity level, but I mean, everybody honestly gets a little pick of the pie. It kind of reminds me, of a Pacers team right now that everybody plays really well, and that seems to be the way Edgewood is playing. Is that whenever I watch them and whenever I see even their JV team, you can't tell who's scoring because everybody's scoring a little bit, and you just, another person makes the basket, and you go, it's all right, someone scored. There's not exactly, especially on the JV level, there's not exactly anybody who stands out or who, ball hogs, or is a player who, takes the ball and isn't that much of a passer.
It's always a balanced effort. I mean, if you look top to bottom down at Edgewood, that's a 3 made for Connor Taylor. Several kids have scored. They had 6 guys score at halftime as Slayball launches the 3, no good. Henry Dorn with the rebound, and he kicks it out to Powell. But they've had a lot of kids now. Powell launches the 3, and he nails it. But they've had so many guys that have just been able to score, and I mean, his lead is 25.
I mean, someone's getting a pizza party. That's what I'm saying, because I remember hearing about a soccer coach who would cook his. What would he do? He would cook his team a pizza whenever his team would win, and so you know what, they won their title that year, and so he made a lot of food that year, and so similarly, this JV team deserves a little pizza party or something for how well they performed tonight, because I mean, it's really looked sharp tonight, very sharp.
Yeah, very sharp as Evan Waters and Caden Howard is going to come into the game. And, Caden Howard is 6'1". If you can just, our other partner, Quinn Saturday, will test to this. If you look at Caden Howard and add about 4 inches of height to him, that's his brother, Chayton Howard. I mean, exactly looks the same.
Yeah, and not like on this JV team where you can, in a JV game, take out somebody who's 6 foot, bring in someone who's 6'1". The height is huge with this Edgewood team. It's impressive to see on the roster, seeing all the players they have. Even on the freshman team, they have some pretty tall dudes, and just as they continue to grow and build up and add to the team, it'll be very impressive to see how this team performs.
There is, again, Edgewood in control here by 27 now, 61-34. They're going to go to 7-6. Now they have a couple more games coming up. They will play Monrovia later, Bloomington North, Orleans, Northview, Mitchell, and Eastern Green. They also have a JV invite the same day as the Bedford North Lawrence game, so the JV teams won't play Bedford that day. But Jeff Harrington's, he was 20-2 last year. He's struggled a little bit this year, but he's going to get these guys over 500 tonight, as you see Caden Howard at the line.
I remember I was on some JV teams that did. We only lost twice some years, and the varsity were 500 or whatever. They barely made it to the playoffs or whatever. But yes, the JV teams definitely have their own special bond where you're in your own little world a little bit, where you're playing hard and you are you're having fun and winning a lot. Honestly, if you're in a good JV program, and the coaches are excited from that because they're able to see the JV team and realize, hey, I'm able to bring up these guys who just had an incredible season, you know, that's very, very appealing.
As you see, Zay Doring chase it down, and he gets it to Ringler. Back to Doring, in and out. Tip back out, Henry Doring, short. And the rebound to Greencastle. Now it's going to be Doring on the foul. He doesn't agree with it, as he'll just walk the other way. So we approach a minute to go here. Edgewood gonna win convincingly, big time. And then we get ready for the championship game of this conference tonight between these two squads.
A lot of, and again, another cross court pass from there. Very, very risky. And as we see now, a lot of the backup players that you said that were brought in for this JV game from the freshman team at Greencastle or whatnot are able to get in there and see some minutes, which is good for them. You know, getting in there, seeing how a JV game is. So one day they'll be able to, you know, do the same step to the varsity level.
Landon Ringler back at the line for Edgewood. He's got 4 tonight. He's got 1 more. And he hits that one.
And like you said, whenever there was a foul down here by an Edgewood player, they're up by, what, 30 now, and they're still going that hard, and that shows just the competitiveness. And I was, you know, you hear in games, I was watching a documentary about how this team down in Mississippi kills every team they play against, and, you know, it almost is that kind of question, you know, do you stack on the points or do you show respect by not holding up? And so, you know, seeing that desire in this Edgewood team is here as they hold the ball at the end is very cool.
And they're going to hold it, dribble it out, and that will be it. Edgewood wins 64-34. As you see, Caden Howard handing it to the official. A nice, classy move for sportsmanship as we see the highlights. And it's Edgewood. Caden Hunterlocker with the bucket. You see Greencastle showing the range on the 3. Zay Doring drills that one for the Mustangs as Greencastle again hits it outside, but you see the defense, Zeke Powell bounce pass to Huntenlocker for the beautiful finish. And then again, it's just, this is what Edgewood does. In transition, gets buckets. Henry Doring's all excited for the Mustangs.
Turn your attention to the
Zeke Powell to step out, drills the 3 as Edgewood wins 64-34 for Jeremy Nutter. I'm Nick Jenkinson. Varsity comes up in 20 minutes on Smithville Sports.
as a gymnastics team.
We welcome you live to the Mustang Corral here at Edgewood High School in Ellettsville, Indiana, where tonight a conference championship is on the line as the Greencastle Tiger Cubs take on the Edgewood Mustangs in the Western Indiana Conference Championship game. Glad you could join us for Edgewood Mustang basketball on Smithville Sports alongside Jeremy Nutter. I am Nick Jenkinson. And Jeremy, Edgewood, this is the fourth year of the crossover. Edgewood has won the East the last 3 years, and this senior class is wanting to make it 4 for 4.
Yeah, and like we're saying, you know, in the JV game prior, there's a lot of 3 points, not that many down low. I think it's going to be a little different in this varsity game. Well, there will be some down low play and some inside presence. But as we see everybody here warming up, Greencastle there before, everybody's just on the perimeter shooting 3. So we'll see if it's like last game and there'll be a lot of outside opportunities, or if it'll get changed somewhere at the start of the game where, you know, they'll want to drive in more, want to you know, decide different options rather than just throwing up threes the whole game.
Greencastle making their first appearance in this championship game. Edgewood beat Northview the first 2 years. Away the first year, home 2 years ago, and then they beat Sullivan on the road last year, and then of course they rotate between west and east, so this time Edgewood gets to host as Greencastle comes into this game 11-1, Edgewood 12-2, Edgewood on a 3-game winning streak, Greencastle on an 8-game winning streak. Their only loss was to South Putnam at South Putnam 56-46. So Edgewood hasn't played in 2 weeks because of the weather and the postponements and stuff. Greencastle played last week against South Vermilion and won 57-46. So interesting to see what Edgewood's going to do with 2 weeks off because of weather, as we're going to get ready here for the national anthem.
Our national anthem by the Edgewood award-winning Music Warehouse under the direction of Mr. Brian Paulson.
The Edgewood Music Warehouse with a great rendition of the national anthem here as we get ready for this championship game. Looking at the starting lineups, first for Greencastle, they will go with Gavin Bowman, 6'5" senior wearing number 40 at 1 forward. Nick Sutherland, 6'2" sophomore, number 30 at the other forward. Brody Whitaker is in the middle. It's Cade Plew, number 44. 6'6" sophomore at guard. Brody Whitaker, 6'2" sophomore, wearing number 12 as you see Whitaker. And then Benton Parmley, 5'9" sophomore, wearing number 14 for Bryce Rector, the Greencastle coach. In his third year, 36-24. He was 8-15 in his first season, 17-8 last year, and 11-1 so far this year. For Edgewood, it's 5 guards, and it's the same starting lineup as they've been. Trevor Taylor, number 1, 6'3" sophomore. Joe Keto, number 2, 5'7" senior. Tate Balcom, number 4, 6' senior. Coleman Sater, number 5, the 6' sophomore, and then 6'4" sophomore, and then it's Cam Bannister, 6'2" senior for J.B. Neal in his third year at Edgewood, 50-18, 16-10 in his first year, 22-6. Last year won the sectional title, lost to Lebanon in overtime in the regional semifinals at Greencastle. Also won the Wabash Valley Classic last season as well, not so well this year. But Edgewood in the white, Greencastle in the purple. And here we go. This is for all the marbles, the WIC Championship. As the Edgewood student section, as you see in the background, all fired up as the band gets them ready to go here at the corral.
And the band will definitely be the whole game, as we've experienced throughout the throughout the years here at Edgewood. They are a presence out here. They create an atmosphere out here and really amplify Edgewood, and are really a weapon, actually, if I'm being honest.
As the tap is controlled by Greencastle, but they lose it out of bounds, and it will be Edgewood ball to start this game.
And we'll look to see how they start off the game, what play they run, kind of what you know, where players are at, kind of if they're playing inside, or unlike the JV where no one was inside and they just kind of do a perimeter shooting. So we'll kind of see how they start out and how they set the tone of this game, if it's a fast-paced game or whatnot. So I'm really interested to see how the game goes here as it actually gets underway after an odd tip-off situation.
Greencastle comes in averaging 60.3. They give up 49.9. Edgewood averages 71.4 defensively, 52 a game. So it's going to be interesting to see the style, because Edgewood loves to get up and down the floor. And then you go right to the basket with Coleman Sater, and he falls short, and Bowman with the rebound.
And I mean, you see Greencastle's just length and big men down there compared to, you know, Edgewood's players. You know, we talked about a lot in the JV game, and now, you know, looking at this team down there, it's a lot of similar sizes. You don't really see anybody stick out. But then on Greencastle, you know, you have players like Cade Plew and, you know, Gavin Bowman with the ball right now, who are just completely head over heels taller than the other team.
And a nice pass inside to Whitaker, and he gets Greencastle on the board. Taylor, Sater, gonna fire a three, no good. And there's Balcom, the reverse layup.
That was some good heads up. Everybody was watching, and then no one went for the rebound, and, you know, that's whenever you come in, scoop and score.
That was Balcom with a reverse layup. Again, a guy that he's an emotional leader on this Edgewood ball club. He's a guy that doesn't always, he averages 5.8 coming into tonight. There is almost a steal by Edgewood. Now underneath, and a nice finish for Cade Plew.
And that's going to be a key this whole game, is how they do the inside, because, you know, as we see right now, there is not much inside presence even on offense by Edgewood. So hopefully on defense we'll be able to utilize that and score a lot of points on the inside against Edgewood.
Malcolm going to fire a three. It's no good after Sater got the offensive board. And now Greencastle going to bring it up. This is
and it's interesting to see a you know, a 6'6" sophomore sitting on the outside on the perimeter. You don't really see that too often, and that's what we saw in the JV game. And like I said at the beginning, it's what kind of tone we're going to set, and it's not going to be too much inside play. It seems like as you know, you see kind of them kind of looking like they're dropping down low, but I don't know how much they are.
Inside. Outside three on the way. It is no good. Offensive rebound and putback for Gavin Bowman. And it's a 6-2 Greencastle lead. 3 Tiger Cubs have already scored. This is kind of what Edgewood does. They've been off to slow starts here in the past, but they'll get going here shortly.
And we just heard there the Greencastle student section making themselves known.
As Cam Bannister just kind of answered them with a three of his own.
You know, it seems like the more I say stuff on cue, something happens that goes against what I'm saying. So, you know, I'm glad that happens sometimes and is able to really amplify the game.
Bannister's 5th three of the season. As it's a foul underneath, it's going to go against Trevor Taylor.
Foul number 5, Sater.
Oh, they're going to get Coleman Sater instead.
Plew shooting 2.
This is going to send it Cade Plew to the line. Plew this season averaging right at 8 points a game, 95 points coming in to tonight. But he struggles from the line as he misses that first one. Greencastle as a team, 66% from the field. Now we're going to see Houston Holmes come in. replacing Coleman Sater.
We'll see as, this Greencastle team is in the lead. See if they'll be able to hold it, see if they'll be able to, get more from it, because it's being cut down right now ever so slightly.
As I think that was a
lane violation.
Lane violation, so he'll have one more, and he does not get it, and Bannister with the rebound.
And that was a theme in the JV game, too. A lot of missed free throws by both teams.
This is Balcom. Taylor. He gets fouled and will go to the line.
And that seems to be the way that Edgewood's playing right now, kind of playing on the perimeter and then seeing when it open, or just whenever they want to, kind of drive in and take a chance and see if they can make some or draw a foul. And that's pretty much all they've done so far on the floor there.
Trevor Taylor at the line. The sophomore misses the first one. Comes into the night shooting 84% from the line, 291 points on the season, 20.7 points a game average, has scored 13 times in double figures, and he misses both at a rarity. Best game we had at 32 against Bloomfield in December.
It was quite the game there. Everybody got a good amount of points that game.
Edgewood trails by 1. And that is a nice basket for Bowman, his 4th points of the night.
And that's what you expect your big man to get. If they're in, near the blocks or down there at all, you expect them to either make a move or be able to put up a floater and make it. And that's how, you get a lot of your points from Greencastle.
And there is the foul.
Personal foul, number 44, Plew.
And that's going to be on Plew, his first and the team's second.
We'll see how they inbound, how they play them. I would guess that they would go to a perimeter shot on the inbound, but we'll see what they do.
Keto's going to inbound it. As it's Balcom, Keto, Taylor. Keto going to fire a 3. It is off the mark, tapped around. It's going to be an offensive foul on Edgewood.
And I know it's only halfway through the first quarter, but it looks opposite to the game prior where Edgewood was hitting everything. Now, so far in most of their shots, they haven't been able to convert, and that's been a really big issue with the way they're playing, with not a big man down low, not having that rebounding ability. So they're relying on either a drive or a make 3 in order to gain their points, which could be risky depending on what option they go for. If they keep going for 3s, it could be a really long night for them. But if they keep going on driving in, it could be more successful.
There is a 3 on the way. It is perfect for Nick Sutherland. And Greencastle is up by 6. Houston Holmes gets it to Keto, to Sater.
And a lot of cutting in there on the top of the key.
That's what Edgewood does, and Balcom called for the offensive foul. He can't believe it.
And I think they're looking for that more after they see how Edgewood's starting with that driving mentality. I think they'll start looking for those offensive fouls where the offense kind of either throws an arm or extends the arm to push away, or even backs down, because whenever you drive so much, the refs will start seeing that, and they may start wising up to what you try to do, or some little tricks you try to pull that they may not normally see. They may end up seeing.
That was Balcom taken away by Keto. Nice bounce pass, and Holmes just can't handle it, but they're going to say it is off the foot of a Greencastle player and be Edgewood ball.
And Greencastle coach Bryce Rector there just threw his paper in disgust after that turnover, because that was a possession that they could have kept, could have rolled off 40 seconds off the clock and gotten either 2 or 3 from, and that's just an opportunity wasted.
Kyle Rogers in the game for Edgewood. Where's number 13? Taylor can't get it to go. Plew with the rebound.
Trevor Taylor really hasn't had that much of an opportunity that game, or this game, to play well. He's been taking bad shots, been doing things that you know, whenever we've seen him, he doesn't normally do. He normally knocks down the shots he's been shooting so far, and so it's kind of odd to see him start like that. And maybe, you know, he'll heat up because, you know, whenever I say something, normally the opposite happens, but we'll see.
As Houston Holmes Taylor is going to take a seat, and Houston Holmes is back in for Edgewood. And Edgewood has not played for 2 weeks because of weather delays, cancellations. That they were supposed to play Greencastle here in the regular season meeting as Rogers launches a shot January 12th. Supposed to play Bedford North Lawrence last Saturday, both postponed due to weather. The regular season meeting with Greencastle not going to be made up. Greencastle actually added a game with Bloomington South later in February. So Edgewood still has a game if they want to schedule, they could. It is highly unlikely though because of, again, trying to find an opponent this late in the season, but I have seen it done before, so never say never.
Yeah, and the same thing though with these players. I mean, you can practice and that's good and all, but in a game it's completely different because you have people maybe playing at a higher level against you with stuff you don't normally see or body types you don't normally play against. So you can practice, you know, and that's what they've been doing all this time, but it's with people you're familiar with, people you know how they play. You know them very well. With these players, it's a completely different ball game, and they're not able to cope as well as you're seeing right now down there on the floor. It's getting crazy.
Rogers going to fire a three. It's off the mark. It's a rebound to Parmley, and here comes Greencastle. In the lane, no good for Whitaker, and Keto comes away with it.
Bit of a carnival rim there. A little bit of an oval rim kind of deal where it goes in and out.
Now, Sater with it. Holmes, and a baseline jumper for Houston Holmes.
You know, that was good for them because they haven't had any points for a while, so giving that injection of life will help them out a little bit and get them a little more confidence as they're back on defense here.
Edgewood down by 4.
This is an interesting idea down here where you see an almost kind of ISO, but they don't seem to be running a play. They simply be walking a play through.
It's Parmley against Sater. Looks like they're going to hold it for 1.
Probably for possession next quarter, if I'm guessing right. I think they're running a spread to run out the clock.
And Edgewood is, of course, the team that's going to put the pressure on you.
Edgewood's starting to figure it out. And
there's the 3 on the way in and out. And there's Keto, and he gets fouled as he throws the up ahead to Bannister, and then Bannister tries to throw it down after the whistle, and the Greencastle fans not happy with that one.
A lot of things that shouldn't happen probably just happened there with a shot. You know, you don't expect that, a turnover, and then going the other way, and now they have a chance to, you know, get that momentum going into the next quarter.
There is Keto. Clock down. Rogers got to throw up a runner, and he does at the buzzer. Greencastle 11, Edgewood 9 at the end of the first quarter on Smithville Sports.
Commercial Service is celebrating 70 years as the largest, most trusted heating and air conditioning company in southern Indiana. With Commercial Service and Train's special financing rates, you can afford to have the best. But hurry, this is a limited time offer. Preventative maintenance programs reduce repair and utility bills. Also, get your 15% off coupon at commercialservice.com. After a merger with R&S Plumbing, Commercial Service is now Southern Indiana's most trusted plumbing company. 24 hours, 7 days a week. For more information, visit commercialservice.com.
As we welcome you back to the Mustang crowd, you see J.B. Neal in the huddle, and he is after his team. Edgewood trails 11-9 here against Greencastle with the Western Indiana Conference Championship on the line. Glad you could join us for Edgewood Mustang basketball on Smithville Sports alongside Jeremy Nutter. I am Nick Jenkinson, and Jeremy, Kyle Rogers hits that shot right at the buzzer, that runner at the buzzer to bring this Greencastle lead down to 2.
And varsity coach J.B. Neal definitely used that in the huddle there, as you saw him motivating his players. You know, you see him a lot there on the sideline. He seems a very emotional coach, very invested in his team. And, you know, in that quarter break there, he's going in and saying, all right, you scored. Use that momentum you have. Keep playing hard. Keep playing tough. You did well on defense that last time. Continue producing those results, and you'll be fine.
There's a 3, and then Bowman with the offensive rebound and putback.
And that seems to be the biggest difference I've seen between these two teams so far is the inside presence. Edgewood honestly has not necessarily had that big of an inside presence, whereas you have Greencastle where they have on their roster listed a 6'8", 6'6", 6'5" guy. I mean, you have these tall guys, and on, you know, Edgewood you're seeing the tallest guy being 6'4", and so that height difference is definitely a big deal and something that currently Greencastle is utilizing as we see one of their big men going in and not getting the foul called.
There was Bowman, and he couldn't get it called, and then a shot's altered, and here's Coleman Sater. Gets it to Balcom. Kicks it, Keto, 3. Nothing but net for Joe Keto. Keto on the season is 14-3 for Joe Keto. Not always a guy that looks to shoot the ball, but when he has to, he will.
Yeah, I mean, you see him down there. He's the shortest one out there by a lot, and you know you don't expect him to even be out there, let alone shoot a 3. But he has definitely been a threat as I've watched him. He's definitely a threat whenever he gets opening, even a little bit of opening. He's able to create that space and make that 3 or make that tough shot. It's very impressive to see, and he's definitely a leader out there.
Well, as you see, he also keeps his man in front of him. He's a very good one-on-one as a defender. If you try to back him down underneath the basket, not so much, but he's a very good one-on-one. As Sater goes to the basket, Holmes tries to tap it out, and it's Greencastle ball.
See,
Whitaker with a nice move.
Bowman, the big man with the 3 shot.
And it's off the mark, and it's Bannister with the board. Frenetic pace, Sater loses it. Holmes recovers, throws up, a shot in the lane, no good. Bowman with the rebound.
And this is where Greencastle coach down there, Bryce Rector, is saying calm down and run a play, because that's exactly what everybody's thinking right there, is calm down and run a play. And then that happens, and he's losing his cool a little bit down there that just happened after he got that calm down possession.
Sutherland loses the ball as Taylor and Kyle Rogers come back in as Balcom and Bannister go out for Edgewood. As Trey Wood is 52 in the game. He's 6'8", senior. So again, you had a lot of size with Greencastle inside with Bowman, Flew, and Wood. Although Flew is out of game right now.
And that's an asset, a 6'8" guy. I mean, anybody tries to go up against him, he's probably not going to move.
There's Sater and Bowman with the big block.
Massive block.
Again, Greencastle, this is kind of the way they want to play. Maybe playing a little too fast for their own good, but they're going to fire the 3. It's off the mark, and Taylor with the rebound, and he's got numbers up ahead. Going to throw it to Rogers.
And on that previous possession there, you see 2 men get sucked away, and an open shot open up, and then a pass, and then another open shot open up, and unfortunately a miss.
Keto hits his second 3 of the night.
And like we were talking about, he hits those shots, you know, you don't think a 5'7" guy would hit, and he's able to, you know, I don't know, create that space or something, be able to make it. It's kind of weird to see because you wouldn't think he would make something like that out there.
Joe Keto comes in the night averaging right at 7 points a game, and he's got 6 so far as Greencastle calls the full timeout with 4:28 to go. As you see, assistant coach Brad Moorhead getting after Coleman Sater as J.B. Neal drawing up a play along with Jeff Harrington with the JV coach. Edgewood's JV got a huge win tonight over Greencastle, 64-34.
And both coaches too right now in the huddle are probably saying, you know, if we play our way, play conservatively, we got this. If we don't need to be running down the court like they were earlier in the quarter.
There's Bryce Rector, the coach at Greencastle, young guy, so he's probably going to be there for a while. As you know, he's done a great job, an 11-1 record for the Tiger Cubs. 6-0 at home, 5-1 on the road so far, 7-0 against Class 3A teams. These two teams have been sectional opponents in the past, but Greencastle is in another sectional. They're in 25 with Crawfordsville, Lebanon, who won the sectional last year, Western Boone, Southmont, Benton Central, and North Montgomery. And Greencastle hasn't won a sectional since 2004, and you know that they're hungry for one this year, because if they do win the sectional, the regional is at Greencastle, so it's the home court advantage.
Yeah, that's always a big deal. I remember my senior year that happened with us, and that's just something that you love, is coming out of nowhere.
And there is Joe Quito as he gets fouled hard going to the basket and will go to the line.
And you see him down there, he's a pretty well-built guy, so he's not going to get pushed around necessarily too much, but whenever you go up against somebody who's 6 foot or 6 foot and above and is well built, it's always going to be the shorter guy on the losing end of that.
Joe Quito hits the free throw. He's got 7, so he's right at his average. And he had 97 points coming into tonight for the season, and he hits both, and he's at 8. Quito's season high this year. He had 16 against Bloomington South. There's Bannister, and he gets fouled.
And again, Greencastle simply bringing up the ball and mishandling it. It's just mistakes like those that cannot happen and will definitely cost them the game, because they're not able to make those mistakes and recover, because Edgewood gets 2 points out of this possibly, and that just makes the lead even more.
Cam Bannister misses the foul shot coming into tonight. Bannister at 6.7 points a game, shoots 76% from the charity stripe, and he gets that one to go, and he's got 4. And it's a 9-0 run for Edgewood so far. Quito thought about it, going to give it to the trailing Stater, going to drive to the basket and leave it short.
And now Greencastle coach Bryce Rector, all he wants is for them to run a play, and they're not able to.
As you see, Bryce Rector, the Greencastle coach, 3rd year at the school. And Sater goes out, Houston Holmes comes in.
I think at halftime it'll definitely be a door shut, loud kind of locker room where, you don't want to be in there necessarily, because Greencastle simply get it down a little bit, and stuff like that doesn't happen.
Joe Quito in double figures already as he just drives to the lane uncontested.
And that's where you get caught ball watching and man watching, where all of a sudden someone can sneak behind who honestly is next to people who are 6'4", 6'8". And if you're against people like that, you don't even have to be next to them to block them.
And there is I think a travel on Greencastle. And Edgewood will have it up 7 now, approaching just under 3 minutes to go. Again, stay tuned. We'll have a great halftime feature for you. It's been a frenetic first half as Balcom gets to the basket. We talked about how Edgewood doesn't have inside presence, but they're able to now attack the lane, and get to the basket inside.
It's not necessarily the same as Greencastle's inside presence where they have big men. Instead, they use a drive inside method where they don't exactly all play on the inside but are able to get there.
And it is a foul on the Mustangs.
Personal foul, number 1, Taylor.
That's on Taylor.
Substitution, number 5, Sater.
First his fourth, team's 4th, Taylor's 1st, and now he'll sit, and Coleman Sater will be back in. Blue's going to launch a 3. It is no good. Tate Balcom with the rebound.
It's always fun watching the big man with the 3, but Edgewood is flying down the court.
And that was poetry in motion as Balcom finds Sater cutting to the basket, and that's Sater's first 2 of the night.
And we saw Bryce Rector earlier throw a paper, get upset. Now he's sitting there, which is scary for those players because they better know that something's coming at halftime.
He's a very active coach. He's always up on the sidelines. For him to sit right now is a rarity. Plew inside and he scores.
And that's their first basket in a long while here for Greencastle.
And a 15-0 run by Edgewood. Keto, Balcom, Bannister. Balcom gonna put it up. Contested shot over Sutherland and he gets it.
And you just see these Edgewood players, after every basket, they are amped up, yelling, screaming, and from the Greencastle team, it almost looks more of a deer in the headlights or go through the motion kind of thing, where they're getting just slammed by the Edgewood, just the way they're playing, just the intensity seems to be totally different.
Launch a long three is no good for Parmley. Here's Bannister, one-on-one, left it short. Greencastle has it. And now Whitaker will bring it back out. Tries to bounce pass, it's kicked off the leg of Sater, and it'll be Greencastle ball.
And Greencastle really haven't utilized their down low man that much this half. I was wondering if that would be an adjustment by Coach Price Rector at halftime and utilize as the big man scores down low where they can a lot of the time make baskets.
Plew with his 6th point of the night. As that's on Houston Holmes. That's his first. This will send Plew to the line. He's a 6'6" sophomore. Greencastle starts 4 sophomores and 1 senior. And he hits that one as Kyle Rogers comes back in.
Replaces Bannister.
Placing Cam Bannister.
Number 1, Taylor. Replacing Holmes.
As Taylor replacing Houston Holmes. It's an 8-point Edgewood lead. Approaching 30 seconds to go. It's been a fast first half.
That it has. A lot of transition plays, a lot of quick plays. Not too many fouls, surprisingly enough, with how fast they've been playing.
There's Balcom to Sater. To Keto.
I think they're holding this for the last shot opportunity here.
Taylor. Keto. Gonna put up a jumper. No good, but he chases it down. Kicks it out. Taylor, 3 on the way. It's good. Trevor Taylor hits the 3, and Edgewood going to the locker room with an 11-point lead.
And that was a big shot made by Taylor there, as we see here Greencastle working inside.
As we see the highlights, Taylor, that was his first 3 of the night. You see Balcom chase it down and get the lay-in. Bannister hits the outside shot, but then Sutherland hits one for Greencastle. Kyle Rogers throws it up at the buzzer to end the first quarter. How about Joe Keto in double figures with 10 points? Leading the way, Bowman with the big block on Coleman Sater. And there's Balcom driving it to the bucket. And then this is just beautiful. Bounce pass to Sater to finish it. As Kate Plew scores inside as we're at halftime. Edgewood 29, Greencastle 18 on Smithfield Sports.
No trip to Bloomington is complete without some great food. And what better way to satisfy a sweet tooth than with some ice cream? And that's why we're at the Chocolate Mousse.
My name is Jordan Davis. I'm the general manager. I kind of oversee our operations here at our downtown Bloomington store, our Nashville store, as well as all the events and wholesale that we do. We started in 1933 as Maze Cafe. It was a restaurant. They started to make their own frozen custard and realized that that was where they were making their money, and they could just do that a lot easier. So in 1955, Doran May, whose dad EJ, he built the stand in the parking lot, named it the Penguin, and just took off from there. Doran had a manager who he allowed to kind of franchised out, and he opened a few Penguins, actually. The guy was just ruining the brand and running the place really into the ground. So Doran bought it back from him. And whenever he purchased back the company, the guy tried to get it, being like, oh, well, you have to pay me for the name of the Penguin, too. And Doran just said, I'll just call it something else. They were brainstorming after the whole Penguin debacle. Somebody had said the name the Chocolate Mousse. And they go, you know what? I like that. Let's go with it. It's definitely helped us because it gives us a lot of opportunities with branding and everything, because who doesn't love a little cartoon moose licking its lips? We had to move into the new location because the landowner, Doran May, he had decided that it was time to move on, and he was getting up there in years and just sold the property, and the developers decided it would be best used in the capacity that is now, so we just had to kind of go with it and make the best out of it, but it's really worked out. When it comes to the ice cream though, it's the same. It's still made in Bloomington, it's still 14% butterfat. It's the same, quality product we were serving in the stand and before that, so nothing's changed with the ice cream. So we have about 20 regular ice creams that we make. Those are all the 14% butterfat homemade ice cream, like hard pack, that we're known for. We also make 6 vegan varieties though. Those are all made with coconut milk. The community's really taken a liking to those, and it's not just vegan people, it's just those that are lactose intolerant, or people that are like the idea of, oh yeah, strawberry with coconut milk, that sounds, pretty good, and it is. We do a lot of things at the Chocolate Mousse besides just ice cream. We've always been known for our Spanish burgers since the 50s. We just recently added like a turkey pesto sandwich, a chicken sour croissant, our breakfast sandwiches, as I mentioned earlier. Now we have a full coffee menu with like chai lattes, flat whites, Americanos, lattes, frappes, you name it. We work with local roasters, Brown County Coffee, so we have a really good local product that we're serving. There's quite a bit you can get besides ice cream with the Chocolate Mousse.
So I'm sitting down here with Jordan here at the Chocolate Mousse. Now Jordan, what do we have here in front of us?
So we have a ham, egg, and cheese croissant, which is something we just started doing recently. And then we have a 24-ounce caramel frappe.
I'm going for a bite here.
I'm jealous for you right now.
This is really good. The ham is the star of this sandwich. Very fresh, very tender. It's not very chewy like a lot of hams out there. Kind of just melts in your mouth a little bit. Let's try it. Better than Starbucks. Better than Starbucks. The caramel shines here. Nice and creamy. Kind of tastes just like coffee ice cream. I don't know, but it's a frappe. It's very good. Enjoy it.
Sweet. Yeah, glad you like it, man.
Yeah. So we're back and we have ice cream now, the bread and butter of the Chocolate Mousse. Now Jordan, what flavors do we have here?
So I have 2 cups of ice cream here. Over here we have our vegan ice cream. We have vegan grasshopper and vegan chocolate. They're both coconut milk based. Wanted to give you an opportunity to try those. And then over here we have the full diesel 14% butter fat. On top here we have our apple butter. We have a donut ice cream where we work locally with Crescent Donut, which you know Bloomington, you know Crescent Donut. And then we have our Lucky Guy mint brownie. We really like to work with other local companies and just help each other thrive. So I figured instead of bringing out here Grasshopper, Brown County Coffee, or some of our most popular staples, I'd give you some of our kind of out there seasonals to try, because a lot of people don't know we have them.
It's really refreshing, the mint. Well, first of all, you get the coconut. That's the first thing that I tasted. Then the mint. And lastly, the chocolate from the Oreo. And finally, the cream. The creamy bits from the Oreos. Not getting much of the coconut, but a lot of the chocolate. It's very chocolatey, and the coconut has that, it's kind of like an undertone, which complements the chocolate quite nicely, I have to say. All right, so let's move on to the 14% butter fat.
Oh yeah.
All right, so let me just go ahead and try it. I'm getting some spices. I think is the cinnamon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The butter is very prevalent. The apple is very subtle.
Yeah.
And the spices really shine. It kind of just reminds you of like fall, kind of like a fall pie, which is very good because I love pie. You're right. The first thing is just the glazing.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like, the texture is kind of like the inside of a donut. I don't know if that's weird to say. It's just kind of like very soft and melts in your mouth like a good donut would.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The first thing I get is the chocolate and the mint together. It's kind of different from the vegan one where the mint was more, like the most prevalent. But this is just a nice duo of the chocolate and the mint.
I think it all starts with just having a quality product. If you don't have a quality product, you're not going to go back to the place. And I think the chocolate mousse it's been its longevity. It's the nostalgia to it and just what it means to people that they went to here as a kid and, got this from the penguin or got this from the chocolate mousse, depending on how old they are, and their kids get to come in and experience the same thing. We like to think that if you think of Bloomington and your IU experience or your experience coming to Bloomington or living in Bloomington, that chocolate mousse is, one of the first memories you have. Just because, everybody has a favorite ice cream shop, and when it comes to Bloomington, that's us, or we like to think so. Come by and see us at 7 a.m. till 11 p.m. Monday through Friday. Saturday we open a little later at 8 a.m. and go until 11 p.m. and then Sunday is 10 a.m. until 11 p.m.
We welcome you back to the Mustang Corral here at Edgewood High School, Ellettsville, Indiana, as Edgewood's on top of Greencastle, 29-18 in this Western Indiana Conference Championship game. Glad you could join us for Edgewood Mustang basketball on Smithfield Sports. As you see, Jeff Harrington, the JV coach, firing up Trevor Taylor. Edgewood in control. I am Nick Jenkinson alongside Jeremy Nutter. While Trevor Taylor has struggled with just 3 points, it is Joe Keto leading the way with 10 points for the Mustangs.
Yeah, he played a big role at the end of that quarter. And then end of the half, having that rebound and giving it to Trevor Taylor, him being able to make the three. And he's been a very big part, both on defense, intensity-wise, and as well scoring, which we're talking about at the break, is very unusual for him.
Yeah, he's averaging 7 points a game. He's had his 6th game now in double figures, scored 16 against Bloomington South to start the season. And it's one of those things where he's not a score-first guard. He's a pass-first guard. He gets his teammates involved, but his game, when he needs to score, he can score. So he's done a great job tonight, and it's been open for him most of the night. As he's hit outside, he's able to score inside as well. So, but Greencastle gets the offensive rebound there.
And we see an inside play by Greencastle. Definitely something probably talked about at halftime, because that is where they are most threatening, is down low with their big men.
Cade Plew is in double figures he has 9 points so far for Greencastle. Trevor Taylor, he scores just his 5th point of the night. Only time he has not scored double figures this season, he had 7 against Sullivan.
And that's going to be a big thing for him if he can, because he didn't have a good first half, he didn't have a good first half. He got pulled off by the coach a lot in the first half. And so to see if he's able to bounce back, have some confidence, not be extremely pouty or anything in that nature, and bounce back and show characteristics that make a good player, that will really show in this half, and ultimately see how successful he is this half, scoring-wise and passing-wise and rebounding and all the like.
There is the Tiger Cubs with it. 3 on the way, and it is good for Parmley.
And I think I saw him practice that in warm-ups as well.
His first 3 of the night. Now Greencastle is down 8. And you have a feeling they're going to try to slow it down a little bit and look for the good shots.
Yeah, the fast pace was not working out too well for them last half. I think they'll try to hold the ball, use their big men more, and really bounce off of them.
That was a good pass outside from Bowman. You had Plew right there underneath and didn't see him. Now he has to step out. Gonna drive it, gonna throw a little elbow toward Balcom. They won't call it. In the corner, 3 is good for Brody Whitaker. Now all of a sudden it's 5 points.
Yeah, and you didn't see that coming at the end of the last quarter and at the end of the half after Trevor Taylor made that 3. And now, Greencastle's, catching a little fire, making some threes, having some good possession time and good looks, and looking for it instead of just going willy-nilly up for it or chucking up a 3. You're looking for opportunities and executing well.
Bryce Rector wants an explanation. He doesn't agree with that call. Kyle Rogers comes back in and Balcom goes out. As Taylor's shot short.
And that was something we saw in the first half that we were talking about, is a weird sock selection by Trevor Taylor. And again, that was just an odd one where the ball didn't even get to the basket. And as a player that, Edgewood definitely rely on and is definitely an important player to their team, it's not usual to see him do something like that.
There is another 3. It is off the mark, and Sater with the rebound, and Edgewood's going to push. Taylor called for the travel.
And I played a lot of sports that involved mental, and I had a coach told me once, mental is to physical is 4:1. And right now, that's kind of where Edgewood's at, is that mentally. Physically they got it all. They're looking good. They're looking fit. They're looking fine. They don't look too tired. Intensity's there. But mentally, they're kind of making mental little errors that will cost them the game ultimately if they continue to do that throughout the rest of the game.
And there's the offensive foul on Plew.
I don't know about you, but we could both see that from a mile away. And, Joe Quito stepping in there and definitely planning himself and taking that charge very obviously. It was easy call for the ref.
Trey Wood's going to check in for Greencastle. He wears 52. Greencastle's only used 6 guys, and it's basically been the Wood for Plew. So the other guys have played all the minutes. So that could become a real issue here in the 4th quarter with depth and fatigue, for Greencastle.
And we'll see that, because I know some teams that, are, as Trevor Taylor there makes a 3. I know some teams that, and watch some teams that are able to keep up intensity, and you think these people should be dead of exhaustion by now. And Edgewood's kind of playing like that, where the intensity is really high, and you don't know whether they can keep that the whole game. But at the same time, Greencastle's kind of playing a methodical way, which tells me that they're not necessarily looking for a break or a hard thing. A hard push into the.
As you see Joe Quito steal it and lay it in. And now it's a timeout by Edgewood. They're going to call a full timeout.
It is a full timeout.
Joe Quito there with a big steal.
12 points for Joe Quito. Again, the evolution of his game, our broadcast partner Quinn Saturday would compare him to Ricky Rubio a lot. It's not really because of how he shoots, it's the fact he can make spectacular passes. And I mean, he's having that senior night moment right now where he's taking control of this game. And I know JB Neal is excited for Joe Quito. 6 seniors on this team. You've got Austin Schwartz, Kyle Rogers, Houston Holmes, Joe Quito, Tate Balcom, and Cam Bannister. And they've won 3 WIC conference titles, and they want to make it 4. They want to go out perfect 4 for 4.
I mean, why not? You know, you think you as a player, you always want to win the highest thing. And then, you know, these players out here out for Edgewood, and the seniors especially, honestly, if they were to lose tonight, it would kind of sour a lot of the wins, because they'll say, even though they've won 3 in a row, they'll say to themselves, well, we didn't do it perfect, you know, and that's something that definitely is a goal and something that is very appealing for a high school senior.
Would also be their 10th WIC championship. They won it in 2000, 2005. They won 5 straight from 2005 to 2009, and then their last 3 straight here. So when they do it in bunches. And this class wants to also match the 08 and 09 classes of 4 in a row as Parmalee scores the basket.
And Coach JB Neal is going absolutely ballistic on the sideline there. He lost his mind after that exchange and fast break and missed fast break opportunity.
As you see, a great shot by our camera crew, Nate Alarcon, with the angle of JB Neal losing his mind at the official. Camera crew always doing an awesome job tonight with Annette Bruner and Nate Alarcon down on the floor, and Clemente Torrado here on the up top. Inside, misses by Whitaker.
And this is a back and forth crowd game now. You hear one side get louder, the other side get louder. A coach put his hands on his head, another coach cheer. It's just kind of something, you know, that definitely feels like a pendulum effect right now.
Joe Quito with his 14th point of the night. Inside, again, he can score inside, outside, get to the free throw line. He's done it all tonight.
And he's definitely stepping up where Trevor Taylor maybe isn't having the best night of his life so far. So he's definitely stepping in that role as a very special player tonight for them to have and to use as a passer and as a scorer.
As Bowman inside, and he just throws it away.
And miscommunication there.
And you see Bannister, he's firing up the students, getting them excited. Now Kyle Rogers is going to come in, and Bannister's going to go out. Now the Edgewood student giving a little chant to the Greencastle kids that made the trip. Short trip, about 45 minutes away, so it's not a long trip at all for Greencastle. Again, Edgewood's hoping to play there in March because that is where the regional is held for 3A schools. It's a nice arena, McAnally Center, nice arena for a regional. Been there many a times. It kind of reminds you of an arena to the north that we won't, a certain college arena to the north that we won't discuss. In that place, I think called West Lafayette. It's a Little Mackey Arena, they say.
Never heard of that before.
Yeah. It's set up just like Mackey is, but there's the shot for Whitaker, and he misses, and he was fouled.
Personal foul, number 21, Holmes.
Houston Holmes with the foul is second. Brody Whitaker, 6'2", sophomore, 5 points tonight, make it 6.
And you know, we definitely have seen kind of which team benefits from what style. Greencastle is much more set plays, set time, do this, keep possession, and execute. Whereas Edgewood, you know, is just wanting the ball and going to the basket. They don't care. You don't care who scores. They don't care, you know, who gets the ball. They just want to go. You know, they're just a team that goes and that attacks, and they're able to do that for the whole game, and that's an asset to have. Both are an asset to have, and it just depends on which formula works better on a given night. And so far, Edgewood's is working very well.
Bowman with the foul. It's going to send Coleman Sater to the line. Sater, a sophomore, along with Trevor Taylor, coming into the night. Sater, 12 points a game, 169 points, shoots 70% at the line, and he misses that one. He's only got 2 points so far tonight, but he's a kid. He's had 9 games in double figures. His high game, 26 against Bloomfield. 3 double-doubles this season at Martinsville against Cloverdale and Park Heritage. He's in double figures. Again, a kid that didn't play a lot last year. Varsity was more of a JV player, but he has really stepped up this season.
Yeah, and that's big as a sophomore, you know. Being able to play varsity is something that I definitely had the privilege of doing, and that's something that is cool because you're with the older guys, you're with people who, you know, have a lot more experience than you and can learn from. And at the same time, you're able to make an impact on the floor as a key player to this team as a sophomore. And that definitely spells well for Edgewood here as they're on the break.
And there's the run out by Balcom. Credit Bannister and Keto with the assist plays, and Edgewood's back up by 13.
And after the first quarter, we've seen Edgewood come into their own and really play their basketball.
And there is, it's not going to be a shot. It's on the floor. They're going to call Bannister with the foul. It's going to be out of bounds for Greencastle.
Substitution for the Mustangs, number 13,
Rogers is back in, placing Balcom, and now Sater is going to replace Bannister. Edgewood's used 7 kids tonight. They can go 8 or 9 deep, but J.B. Neal keeping a tight bench tonight.
Yeah, both teams, as you said, don't have that many players coming in and out of the game. They're using the same players over and over again as we see a turnover by Greencastle.
Turnover by Greencastle. Derek Farkas has not been in the game. He's usually a kid that comes off the bench and provides some minutes, but has not seen the floor yet this evening.
And you know, as we go to the fourth quarter, we may see more turnover from both coaches as the game kind of fleshes itself out. But right now, it definitely is still, even with a 13-point lead, it's a little iffy as Trevor Taylor takes an unneeded 3 and then an unneeded pass goes down the floor.
Oh, and he hits it!
Oh, my goodness.
Brody Whitaker hits it.
What a shot to make.
In
that
the
was
corner,
epic.
he just kind of fell out of bounds and hit it. I hope we get a replay of that. As Edgewood leads 43-33. Final quarter coming up next on Smithville Sports. As we welcome you back to Edgewood High School there, as Edgewood leads 43-33 as we start the fourth and final quarter of action. Glad you could join us for Edgewood Mustang basketball here on Smithville Sports. A reminder, tomorrow night we will be over at Bloomington North. It is Bloomington North and Columbus East. Columbus East is 4-6. They play East Central tonight. Bloomington North has the night off. They are 10-3, and that will be a good one. JV at 6, Varsity at 7:30. Tomorrow afternoon, Edgewood will be at Bankers Life Fieldhouse to what they call the really big basketball show. 5 games starting at 1 o'clock. Edgewood will play Monrovia. Tri-West will play Greencastle at 2:40. Then Northwestern, the number 1 team in Class 3A, will play Carroll of Flora. Culver Academy will play Indianapolis Cathedral with IU signee Armand Franklin, and then it's Franklin and Southport to end the night. So if you're in Indianapolis and you want to go, check out 5 great games of high school basketball in Bankers Life Fieldhouse.
Yeah, and it's a big opportunity for these kids because, you know, it's not every day you get to go to an NBA arena and play some basketball and play a game against an opponent there. And so it'd just be a fun day for these kids, and not really and just a really overall good time.
And a quick turnaround too for both teams. You know, for Greencastle, they're going to have a bus trip back, get the kids home, get them rested, and then get them up, or get them home, get them to bed, and get them up and ready to go for tomorrow. Edgewood at least doesn't have to make any trip home. They just have to, you know, but they got to get ready, and because they play the first game tomorrow, so it should be an exciting day.
Yeah, and like you said, you know, that tight schedule, and we talked about that a little bit off here real quick, and it was interesting to discuss about how these kids go from playing this game tonight, and the Greencastle kids are going to put some miles on in the next 2 days. So it'll be interesting to see how you play with that, because that can definitely affect how you play. You know, your energy, traveling in a car for so long. And as we see Greencastle here with a travel call.
Well, I don't think there really will be any advantage tomorrow, because I think all the teams that are playing, tonight as well. So it's, you know, it's an interesting kind of scenario, but it's an opportunity you don't turn down, because, you know, when they approach you to say, hey, can you move a home game to Bankers Life, you pretty much take it. As Keto gets the bounce, he's got 16.
Waltzes past the man at the top of the key with the behind the back, and then simply goes up against a much taller center or power forward, and is able to make it, which is just incredible.
Edgewood in control, 3-on-1. Sater bounce past the Balcom, and he finishes.
And Edgewood are just playing really good basketball right now, very good transition basketball, and are able to use their possession for points, which is what Greencastle is having a lot of struggle with. They can keep possession for a little bit and then give it away, but ultimately, as we see here, the first points in a minute or two.
Whitaker gets the basket. Greencastle wants a full timeout here.
As we see
while we have a minute, we want to thank our crew, the hardworking women and men behind the scenes: Nate Allercon, Annette Bruner, Clemente Torrado on the cameras, Rob Ramsey, and Nadir Noon on the deck tonight. Our technical director, replays. Quinn Saturday doing scores. You and I getting to do commentary. We thank you all for everything you do throughout the football and basketball seasons. And again, tomorrow night, Columbus East at Bloomington North from the Cougar Den. And it's hard to believe the Boys State Tournament draw is Sunday, February the 17th at 5 o'clock, as you see JB Neal in the huddle. But it's just hard to believe how fast the basketball season goes.
Yeah, because it's at a weird time. You know, all the other sports, fall and spring, they're during the semester, during that school year, and even bleed in, you know, out of school times, but they're not during a weird Christmas break. So that's definitely why it seems to go so fast, is because you're not here for most of it, it seems like.
As, again, both these teams tomorrow make that trip to Bankers Life Fieldhouse. I got to give as we mentioned in the JV game, got to give a mention to Carroll from Flora. That's up by Delphi. A former classmate of mine, Bodie Bender, the head coach there in his first season. They're 5-5, and wish them all the best tomorrow against Northwestern. It's I know that that's going to be a tough out for him, but I know that he's excited for the opportunity for his kids and to go up against the top team in 3A.
It's always looking for a challenge. You know, whenever I was playing, it was always fun playing against those teams, you know, that were top ranked or higher up, because you don't have anything to lose really unless you're close in rank to them. But if you're a smaller team, you have nothing to lose, everything to win. So it's just a lot of fun because you can play with that freedom, and ultimately sometimes, you know, you play better.
Yeah, he'll have his team ready to go. It looks like they're not a team that scores a lot of points, plays a lot of defense, and it should be exciting for him and his kids as Sutherland scores. Again, Greencastle not going away. They're down 8 right now.
And that's the way the whole game's been ever since the first quarter. Whenever they gave up their lead, they've just been very, very keeping with it in the way that they've played. They haven't really given up. They haven't really, lost any momentum. They just have, dropped behind, but have been there.
There's a steal by Greencastle. It's Parmley with the ball. And then Ballman loses it, and it will be Edgewood ball. Greencastle doesn't agree with it. As you see, Bryce Rector wanting a little explanation from the official.
It's one of those nights where you think the refs are against you, get paid by the home team, and that's what it always seems like. Is the refs are against you, but it's a needless play by Greencastle to do stuff like that, and they definitely shot themselves in the foot on a lot of occasions so far by giving up possession when they've had promising opportunities to score, and the game could have been a lot closer. They could have even been leading if they've taken those opportunities.
There is Keto to Taylor. Edgewood trying again, they have been in this championship game the last 4 years now. Greencastle their first time in this title game. Again, it's where you finish in the division is who you play on the other side. So Edgewood represents the East, Greencastle represents the West. There is a miss. Bodies flying, ball on the floor. Greencastle gets a timeout.
Oh, and they're dragging their teammate around not to be able to get up. That's a little scary, all them diving in there, but just show the determination by all of them. And honestly, a determination we did not see necessarily in the first half by Greencastle. Whenever we talked about, they looked like they were walking through a play, it seemed like, and now they're diving after the ball. Must have been something at halftime that that coach said to them and really spurred them on.
As you see the Edgewood huddle, J.B. Neal, the coach, again looking ahead to Edgewood's schedule. Next Thursday they will be at Bloomington North, then they will play Bedford North Lawrence at home next Saturday afternoon. February 9th at Orleans, February 12th at Northview, February 15th at Mitchell, and then they close it out February 21st with Eastern Green. Greencastle, they will play Tri-West tomorrow, Western Boone on January 28th, January 31st at Monrovia, February 2nd at Brown County. Then they host the Putnam County Class Tournament, host South Putnam February 7th, and then we'll play either Cloverdale or North Putnam February 8th. Bloomington South comes calling February 15th. That game got added because of the Edgewood cancellations game. February 16th they play Owen Valley and then close it out with North Montgomery as Greencastle misses that 3. Again, these teams not in the same sectional they used to be, but they could see each other possibly in the regionals if all works out. They got to both win sectionals. Edgewood's hoping to get back there. They lost to Lebanon last year in the regional semis. Greencastle lost to them in the sectional championship a season ago. So Taylor, Keto to Taylor.
And men they're playing in a way where whenever Trevor Taylor has the ball, they seem to be double teaming, where this time he takes a shot, but there's always an open opportunity. Because what they do is we saw a few times there, is whoever's the nearest help man will come over and help them out. And that creates an open space. Trevor Taylor sometimes finds it, sometimes he takes a drive and goes in. But it's definitely a weakness in Greencastle's defense as a contested shot goes up and Joe Keto comes in flying.
They're going to call a jump ball on a jump ball. Greencastle fans not excited about it. You see Bryce Rector, bottom of the screen, is not thrilled with that call.
And definitely a lot of things have not been going Greencastle's way tonight. But it all comes down to their playing style and just how they have not been able to use their possessions effectively. Here as we see just a silly foul out in the middle of nowhere, mid-court given by Greencastle.
as Whitaker commits the foul. That's his second. And now Rogers comes in, Bannister goes out. Just under 2.5 to go here. As Edgewood closing in on a 4th straight Western Indiana Conference championship. Taylor with a friendly bounce for 3. He's got 13, and he's in double figures for the 14th time this season. Foul on the floor.
Personal foul, number 4, Malcolm.
And that is his second, Malcolm's second.
Substitution for the Mustangs.
Bannister comes back in, Rogers going out. And Holmes comes in.
Holmes.
And it's not over. The game's not over. Even though they're up by 13, you know, Greencastle definitely has a chance to come in. Even if they make a 2 or a 3, that cuts it down to a very close game still. But stuff like that just can't happen.
There's the steal, Taylor, and then there's on the other end, there's a mistake by Bannister as he just
a comedy
goes
of errors
right through his hands. Now for the first time, we're going to see Andrew York. He's a 6-foot senior come in and replace Sutherland. So both teams have used 7 players. York has only attempted 1 shot on the year, so he is not an offensive threat. As Whitaker scores.
Basket by Whitaker.
And that's where you get that 2 or 3 point, call a timeout, rally the troops together, and see what you can get here with the last minute and 53 seconds.
Liberland will re-enter the lineup for Greencastle.
As you see the Edgewood huddle, both huddles so far. Again, it's an 11-point lead for Edgewood. Greencastle, a school with a lot of tradition, 34 sectional titles, but they haven't won one since 2004, 14 regional titles, their last one in 1988. But Bryce Rector's turned it around. He was 17-8 last year, 11-1 so far this season. I mean, and they've got 4 of their 5 starters are sophomores. So this is a team you're going to hear from for the next couple of years.
And if they can keep their momentum going, they'll definitely be able to, be successful, because I think there is some learning that still needs to be done on this team. Again, it's a lot easier to see it from up here, but down there on the court, it's not as easy. And as what I was thinking was going to happen in the huddle, it's probably going to be possession play by Edgewood, just trying to run the clock out as low as possible. And if there's an open shot, that's what they should do, is shoot that open shot. But other than that, they should focus on defense and possession.
As Taylor is fouled. And it will go out of bounds. That's on Sutherland. That's his 3rd. And then Sater is fouled by Bowman.
And get your popcorn out, folks, because this may be a long one. A minute 31 left, and a lot of free throws to be taken, I assume, for the rest of the game here.
And it's Coleman Sater. That's the 4th on Bowman. So Sater at the line, just 3 points this evening for Coleman Sater, the sophomore. Terrific season, and he gets the friendly roll. One more for Sater. And he misses it. Sater 2 of 4 at the line tonight.
And Edgewood's thing is do not foul, like they did just there. You do not foul at this point.
And both teams in the 1-1.
Number 21, Holmes.
That's on Houston Holmes. That's his 3rd. So it's going to put Brody Whitaker at the line.
Like I said, it's going to be one of those situations in the NBA you see where 2 minutes takes about, 6 hours. So we'll see, how both teams react, how both teams do. If it's a war of attrition, there may be a point where Greencastle realizes it's out of reach, but for now, it looks like it's going to be a fouling game for Greencastle.
As Whitaker misses the first one, and he misses both. And now Keto, it's in the hands of Keto. It's not only NBA, but it's college, too, that takes forever. If you saw the Michigan-Indiana women's game last night, that took forever down at the end of the game, as it was a foul. It seemed like it took 5 or 10 minutes to play the about final 30 seconds of that game.
I was there, too, yes.
Yeah.
Wanted it to get over as soon as possible because, you know, at that point, it becomes a very tactical game, and you know, a lot of fans go, you know, they won't be able to get any points or won't be able to come back. But at the same time, you know, in some very few circumstances it works, and, you know, you never know if the circumstance is right.
So now Edgewood just playing keep away, up 11. As again, they got to turn around and play Monrovia tomorrow afternoon. Greencastle playing Tri-West tomorrow afternoon as well.
Personal foul, number 12, Whitaker.
It's Whitaker. He's going to get his third foul, and Joe Keto is back in. Wood and York come in. We're going to see Bannister back in for Edgewood. So one more for for Keto, and he misses that one.
A lot of missed free throws tonight, and I do have to say that's probably the theme of the night is no big man and a lot of free throws. So I don't know what each coach takes away, but, you know, as Coach Rector calls off the dogs and kind of lets it run out the rest of the game. Just a long 30 seconds to call it off.
It's going to be a long 30 seconds as Edgewood is going to be your 2019 Western Indiana Conference Tide champions. They're going to win 4 in a row. The senior class will go 4 for 4. It's going to be the 10th title, 10th WIC title in school history. And then Trevor Taylor is just going to dribble it out. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, and there you go. Edgewood officially your conference champion. And as we look at the highlights, a lot of outside shooting from both teams. Taylor shoots it, and then Houston Holmes with the battle for it. You see Joe Keto, the theft and the score. He had a great game tonight, senior with a big monster game. I think a season high for Keto, or ties a season high. And there's Balcom finishing it. As in, look at this.
What a shot to put up. And now we see, you know, the way Edgewood's dynamic offense was able to dominate Greencastle.
As Trevor Taylor scores, as you see the Edgewood Mustangs getting ready to receive the WIC type plaque from Athletic Director Mick Hammett, and there it is, the plaque and the medals for all the hard-working men and women behind the scenes. For my partner Jeremy Nutter, I am Nick Jenkins, and thank you for watching. There you go, Edgewood, your 2019 Western Indiana Conference champions, beating Greencastle tonight, and we thank you for watching, and good night from Ellettsville.